So back in August of 1997, the original James Bond Goldeneye 007 was released on the Nintendo 64 console, of course developed by Rareware, who at that time was working on numerous Nintendo projects. Since then, Rare has obviously gone on to be acquired by Microsoft. However, in today's video, amongst all the continued rumors online suggesting that Goldeneye should be brought back to modern platforms soon, I want to boot up and take a deeper look at the previous attempt at a Goldeneye 007 remaster, being the Xbox Live Arcade Edition, and have that final discussion on whether or not we should be expecting Goldeneye to hit Nintendo and Microsoft consoles anytime soon. What's up, Nation? If it's your first time on the channel, make sure you join Sunbro Nation by subscribing below, hit the like button on this video if you enjoy it today, and make sure you turn on your bell notification icon so you're kept up to date with all the newest gaming news. Now, as I mentioned, guys, we are booting up the attempted remaster at Goldeneye 007 that would have been released, I believe, back in 2013 as part of the Xbox Live Arcade. However, you can see significant work done right out of the gate on the boot up title screen, where yes, the textures were redone. This game was essentially finished and ready to go. This was a beta that was ultimately leaked for this game years and years later after its completion and after everybody knew that this was a project, but essentially it was never officially saw the light of day. And it's one that I wanted to take a little bit of a deeper look at because we still do not have Goldeneye currently on the Nintendo Switch, and clearly there's a lot of rumors, or even the Xbox platforms for that matter, clearly there's a lot of rumors around this title. And you know, it's a shame that they actually had full-on development time go into this before, and yet the project was shelved and ultimately never saw the light of day. Now, if you guys kept up with all the rumors and leaks online suggesting that we were going to see this coming back in the future, the thought is that the game is ready to go once again, but is being held up due to the ongoing real-world scenario that we are in, and you know, with the heavy Soviet plot, that kind of being the reason that Nintendo and Microsoft would most likely not want to put this game on market right now. And if you're unfamiliar with the history of this game and the rights holders and things like that, essentially Nintendo, Microsoft, and MGM rather all own certain rights to the game, so they would all have to sign off on a deal. Now, it is James Bond's 60th anniversary, so MGM would have some reason to maybe want to see this game hit the light of day again. Nintendo and Microsoft's working relationship now, compared to how it was in 2013, when it is rumored, I don't believe it is confirmed, but it is rumored that Nintendo was actually the holdup on this game not seeing the light of day and ultimately being scrapped after it was essentially done. And I believe it was kind of like a optimistic development team, like, oh, I think Microsoft and Nintendo will iron out the details and will ultimately be able to bring this game to market. So they put in all the work and then found out after the fact that yes, indeed, there is a holdup and the game cannot be released, which is definitely disheartening, especially when you see, because one cool thing that they did leave into this edition of the game is the ability to toggle to the old graphics straight to the new just with the click of a button, and you really can see the kind of next level work that went into upgrading the textures and really redoing everything. However, still feeling extremely like the original Goldeneye when it comes to this gate just shut on me and I didn't realize it. However, coming to, you know, really the same kind of engine and gameplay experience with some major upgrades, I might add, because if you guys didn't know, you had inverted aiming on the last Goldeneye, and this is just easily enabled with a controller setting now, or a menu setting rather, which one thing that I did notice is our classic Goldeneye menu music for some reason is missing, which that's a huge misstep. You can even look at the old school watch. I think that it's cool that they kept the old game intact but then enhanced it. And of course, you know, I hate inverted controls, and I don't know why that was such a prevalent thing on the N64 era of gaming, but it was. And so having the option to just quickly toggle that off, I don't believe that option was in the original game. I could be wrong. It has sadly been so many years now since I played this title that I really don't remember the original game all that well, because, you know, there's just not an easy modern way to play it. But all of that said, you know, things like that, enhancement with the inverted controls, enhancements with the aiming with the right analog rather, also completely changes the vibe. Now, technically, yes, you could do that in the N64 version, but you had to play with two separate N64 controllers, which, you know, if you look at the N64 controllers, you probably know that is, well, I don't want to turn that alarm back on. You probably know why that would be like a very inconvenient thing to have done. Did I miss my window for this. I believe I did. Nope, this opens up. Okay, so yeah, bear with me guys as I struggle through to remember how to progress correctly in GoldenEye 007. But if you're not familiar with why this is such an iconic game and why so many fans want to see it, back in the console days, especially like early 3D gaming, you had some shooters on the PC hold some ground and have some fan followings, and you had some cool multiplayer experiences, but nothing ever really quite achieved what GoldenEye did at that point in time in terms of fast action, split screen shooter experiences. Yes, you could screen look. Yes, there were some crazy fun gameplay modes like proximity mines where you could lay them and somebody's walking by, and because they're close to the mine, it just immediately blows up. So many different fun nostalgic memories that I have going through and playing countless hours with friends. The golden gun mode, where essentially, or when you find the golden gun, it is a one-shot kill every time. So many different, classic iconic things that were just done right for the first time, especially on a console. Because if you were a console gamer, and yes, there's a whole crowd of PC gamers that grew up out there as well, but for the mass majority of people growing up, a console was the preferred way to play, and the N64 was a very prevalent console that just had that first iconic shooter experience. And so it's one that, while there is some red tape around the licensing, we absolutely should not see die and left behind tied to the N64, not to mention the fact that there's a lot of other things and a lot of other reasons to believe that yes, this is an ongoing project from most likely Microsoft and Rare, but Nintendo will get their piece of the pie if I'm a betting man, because that's just now how Nintendo works. But you have, let's see if we can shoot our friend here from the top. This was always kind of one of those moments where you try to take him out ahead of time. Poor guy, he's just on the John, and then all of a sudden you're getting bullets fired at you. But they did not change much of the character AI, because he still runs straight into the door just like he did before in the old school game. But one of the reasons that, in addition to people like Jeff Grubb saying that yes, this game is for sure a thing, it's going to come over, I know the project is in the works and is actually done. Besides all of that, okay, if you just want to dismiss Jeff Grubb's theories and say that that's maybe not accurate, which I tend to believe a lot of what Jeff Grubb has to say. Yes, every person that's an insider or gaming journalist rather doesn't have a perfect track record, and that's a fact. But one thing that I will say is that there's too much other stuff going on with GoldenEye in particular, such as the Germany ban lift. I believe there's a key card around here we got to grab somewhere. Such as the Germany ban lift, which was a very, why would you have, so essentially this game in Germany was banned fully. You could not sell it in essentially every 25 years, I believe, something like that. You get clearance to have the game re-reviewed, or you get the game automatically re-reviewed to see if a ban that held up 25 years ago should still be intact today. Well, before that timeline actually came and went, somebody at Nintendo or a corporation paid to have this game re-reviewed and lifted off the Germany ban list. And why is that important, and why would you do that? Well, the Nintendo eShop, as well as I believe many digital storefronts, are based out of Germany, which would mean that you could not distribute this game in the Nintendo eShop in Europe if this game was still on the ban list. So that's one notable thing. Besides that, you have the Rare developers just straight up unlocking achievements for a GoldenEye project that is not this one, to be clear. Just unlocking achievements online, they're spotted. It's literally the developers' accounts that have been verified. Like, we know that it's them. And then you also have the achievement list appear on Xbox's or Microsoft's website, achievement website. So yeah, there's a lot going on with that, and there's definitely something happening with GoldenEye. And then, besides all of that stuff, it's James Bond's 60th anniversary. MGM has rights and things, but MGM also, I could see them, wanting to get a piece of profit with this game and clearing the conversation. We already talked about how Nintendo and Microsoft work together far better than they used to. And so, there's just a lot of reason to believe that this game could truly be done and ready to go. And it is that unfortunate real world scenario that is the holdup with this title. So regardless of what you think of if it's coming back, I do think it's quite interesting and notable in gaming history if you look at the fact that they're literally a working build and a version of this game that's just done, essentially. I mean, I'm sure there was some bug fixes that you could go find that you need to be touched up and things, but essentially the game's done. And it just doesn't see the light of day and is shelved. And it's a very disheartening thing. This should have been out in 2013. We should have had a good way to play it on the Xbox 360. And yet, do I have to blow these computers up? I really don't remember exactly what to do at this point in the mission. You might want to get out of here, my scientist friend, because things are about to get real. But you know, it's just one that I thought would be fun to look back at, and you really can say that it's like, yeah, Microsoft had the full plan. They thought they wouldn't have a problem getting this cleared with all parties involved, and sure enough, that wasn't the case. But just looking at the improved graphics, in like what they did and the work that was put in, and then to think that this thing ultimately got shelved and was never saw the light of day, which I'm grateful that, you know, years and years later, it eventually was put online, and that's how you're able to play it now. But we still don't have that modern Goldeneye remaster that I think we all need, and I think players are ready for. And it will be very interesting to see how modern gamers, you know, react to this in a world where you have the Call of Duty war zones and the shooters being super prevalent, because as I mentioned, when this game was out, that was not the case. And so I'm just curious to see what it will look like, if at all we do get a modern day remaster. Is it something that is tied to and locked behind you know, NSO and Game Pass? Is it two different versions? Does Nintendo just get this game as an NSO entry and Microsoft gets the true up remaster for it? All of that's a coin toss, and clearly we won't really know what's going on with it until we actually get any kind of confirmation that this game is even a thing. But if I'm a betting man, I actually think it'd be more likely, because of the fan nostalgia around this game, to just sell it. And you throw it on Game Pass as a, you know, big one-up for Microsoft, not even having to pay for it. And then what you do is you release, you know, a Nintendo Switch standalone version on a cartridge, and I think that they make all the money that they need from this project. So it's unfortunate that we never saw this 2013 version hit and see the light of day, but I do think that you can say that it's time for this game to finally come out in a big way in 2022. I want to hear from you guys at this point in the video, all your personal thoughts and nostalgia for James Bond GoldenEye 007. Are you thinking, and are you in the camp that you think that this game is indeed going to be released in 2022? Do you think that it's a real project at all? Or do you think that, no, it's all misinformation and that unfortunately there's nothing ever happening with GoldenEye in the foreseeable future? So regardless of your thoughts and feelings and everything we talked about today, I want to hear from you, all your personal thoughts and nostalgia around GoldenEye, your chances of seeing it brought back in the modern era, in the comments down below before you leave the video, as I do look forward to getting a back and forth conversation started with you all around this topic. Go watch Friday's video next if you haven't already, where we discuss an interesting Mario Kart announcement from Nintendo and a discussion around where Wave 2 is for the Booster Course Pass, as well as the latest round of updates that just hit NSO. Also, make sure you like, subscribe, turn on your notification bell, and I will see you guys in the next video.